Everyone has a story to tell. It's my mission to tell it. Unscripted, unedited, we are on the record.
Hi everyone, I'm Sarina Fazan, a journalist, producer, and the host of On the Record. And also, as many know, we've launched many sub-series, including Love in America. All right, so I've gotten so many requests on people asking me, does online dating work? Tinder, all those other apps that I can't even think of. Well, today, yes, proof that online dating, even Tinder, can lead to marriage. I'm so excited to introduce my guest, Britty and Danny. And you have to say your last name because I'm so afraid I'm going to butcher it.
Murawinski.
Okay, Murawinski. I can say that. Murawinski. Why was I afraid of saying that?
It's the SKI that people see at the end, I think.
Got it. Okay, so you guys are adorable. Have been together for 6 years.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right? Mm-hmm. But the Tinder date was the first time you guys had each dated on Tinder.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
We were both new to moving to Oregon.
Okay.
Didn't really know anybody. My friends set up my Tinder account for me. I didn't even know what pictures they put on. So they selected my profile, all my settings. They even wrote my bio. Like, I had nothing to do with it. His friends, I think, were egging you on.
We both just went through a bad relationship. Oh. And I was living up on top of Mount Hood in a place called Government Camp, which is a very isolated area. Mm-hmm. So
not many girls.
Yeah, not much to choose from. So my buddies were like, "We got to set you up with Tinder." Same thing. They kind of guided me into it, and that way I could target the Portland area, which is where she was, which is actually 2.5 hours away when we first met.
Okay, first of all, are these two not adorable though? Britty, even though you said your friends picked the picture, I honestly don't think they could pick a bad picture. You're so cute as a button. So you were a nanny at the time, right?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And this guy, Danny, you're a professional snowboarder.
Yeah, coach. Yep.
Okay, a coach.
And I instantly saw like his snowboarder picture, and I've always liked like the skater boys.
Oh.
So I knew. I was like, swipe right.
Okay, so will you guys though explain? Okay, I should know this. I should be researching, but I didn't research. And I have the best crew on the planet here at CP Communications and Red House Streaming.
Yeah.
Proof in the pudding, right? Like 4 minutes before the show, we decided to change the whole show into Love in America.
Yeah.
So with Tinder,
It's a hookup, okay? I mean, that's the goal, I think.
Yeah.
Is the hookup.
Generally speaking, yes.
Okay, so, but it's the Bumble where you swipe left and the swipe right, right? Or
The same thing with Tinder. You swipe left if it's a no, and it's swipe right if it's yes.
But is there a difference? Like if with Bumble, is it more the women in control? Does Tinder doesn't matter?
I think
Well, this is also.
I think all that matters on Tinder is this, that you both have selected each other.
You both have to be right.
And then
swipes.
anybody can start the conversation, either one.
Okay,
Yep.
all right, got it. So you see.
We matched.
Okay, so you guys matched. So, Britty, so you see Danny, and you're like, okay, I like this type. What did you think, Danny, when you saw her?
I mean, obviously. It was an obvious yes. So it was. She had a really cute picture. Where she was might have been topless, facing away from the camera.
Your friend. Okay,
Why not?
No, hold on. Okay, everybody just stop. Okay. I used to do this thing where I would go and hike to the top of a summit, and then I would turn, away from the camera, so that the photo would just be on my back. So I wasn't,
Yeah. But nonetheless, it was like, oh, she's
my
adventurous
God.
and topless. So I was like, come on.
Very sexy.
Truth.
Okay, so you both. Wow, that's hilarious. I've used that word several times today, haven't I? So, okay, you guys both match.
Yes.
All right, so what happens? The first date. What happens on the first date?
We decide to meet at, just this brewery, and it ended up being in Portland. So it was a good drive for you.
This is our very first ever
meeting.
First Tinder date ever. So I had never met anybody before, and she had never met anybody before on Tinder.
Yeah, and it was instantly we just had a kind of you're decent in person and just the picture. And we had a beer, and I feel like we maybe closed down the bar for 4 hours. They kicked us out. We couldn't stop talking. And he invited me on a real date, official date, and that was the following day.
So before you get to that though, because that wait till you hear this story. But Danny, you got to tell us what your friend, because when Britty said it's basically a hookup, what did your friend say when you're like, hey, I'm going to invite her on a second date?
Yeah, so I mean, I got coached by a bunch of snowboard bros, and they were like, this is how you use Tinder, which is strictly hookup. So that was my intention. going into it, full transparency. And then I met her, and she was awesome, and I was like, this is amazing. And we got the second date set up, and I came back, and my buddies were like, dude, how'd it go? How'd it go? And I'm like, well, awesome. It's like, I got a second date, and they're all like, no, you're doing it wrong. Like, that's not how you do Tinder. So yeah, but I obviously it was a win. So.
Yeah, 6 years later, and we're gonna talk a lot more about your whole relationship. But the second date, so your husband now decides to take you where?
He thought it would just be really romantic and enjoyable to go rock climbing on a 150-foot column in the middle of Mount Hood National Forest, which is very secluded. And I had never rock climbed before, indoors, outdoors, nothing. Like I've never even, I don't climb trees. Like it's just not something I do.
So let me ask you, with your profile picture, you know, you appeared adventurous.
Yeah,
are you adventurous by...
I mean, I would, yes, clearly. I would say yes. But I'm not like an extreme sports adventurous.
Okay.
I'm more adventurous like, oh, let's buy a plane ticket to like, I don't know, Egypt and go tomorrow. You know, like different kind of adventure. So when he told me what we were doing, I'm like, try to play it cool. I'm like, yeah, that's fine. It'll be good. I got this. But I did warn him, look, I've never been rock climbing and you're going to have to help me through this. And we did it and actually went no problem. It went we had a really fun time. So much so that I wanted to go again. But by this time, we hadn't really planned for the sun to go down. And I was already halfway up the rock wall with literally no light pollution. I mean, there's nothing in miles of us. And and that if you're rock climbing on a wall in the pitch black, you can't see where to put your hands and feet next.
And I didn't bring any flashlights.
Yeah, no headlamps. I mean, we were very unprepared. So I
literally, as Danny said, both lives in the balance, right?
Yeah, like my life was in his hands and it's pitch black and I just met him and I'm like, this is a horrible idea. Like, this is why people like have like these horror Tinder stories. Like, this is bad. Like, he took me out here to kill me. So I just start like bawling. I mean, like ugly crying.
Now, this is a second date though, right?
Yeah, okay, and this is like probably 60 feet up in the air. Okay. You know, just, yeah. Holding
24 hours since we first met.
So I love the fact that you did use the term that we often do use, this ugly cry, because I know.
It was bad.
Okay.
Like I was hysterical.
Okay.
And he's like, it's gonna be okay, like you got this, I'm gonna like pull you up with the rope thing or whatever it's called. And I'm just like, this is, like I can't do this. Obviously we made it. It was a struggle, but we get to the top and then he's like, okay, so here's the next kind of curveball. Now that we're up here, we're going to have to rappel down to the bottom, like over 150 feet down into pitch black. And if you drop down too fast and I go flying and vice versa, he's like, so my life's in your hands and your life's in mine. I'm like, this guy's a psychopath. Like, he's crazy. I love him. I don't know. Like, what is he thinking?
Is that when you realized though you did love him?
I don't know. Like, I definitely called my mom and was like, I met this guy. And he's totally crazy. Yeah.
On that second date.
After I got home, yeah.
Well, thankfully, clearly, you both made it.
We made it. We made it.
I mean, it's a good way to break the ice, you know. Why not? We both had each other's hands in each other's lives, and you know, it was what it was. I mean, it was trust was built immediately. So
you're not kidding. Oh my goodness. All right, Danny. So when did you know that Britty was the one?
I think it was like 6 months into it is when I said I love you the first time.
Oh.
Right?
Yeah, probably about that.
So after the second rock climbing date, was it pretty much you guys were a couple?
Yeah, I pretty much laid it all out. I was like, look, this is what I want in life. I want to live in an RV. I want to travel the world. I want to have this many kids. I want to do this, this, this. Like, if it agrees with you at all, then we can keep dating. If not, I'm out.
So it was your idea to live it? Because we're going to get to the RV, because they were going to originally be on the show to talk about the RV, which we, of course, are totally going to get into. But that is what you always wanted to do.
Yeah, that's been my dream since I was like, I think maybe 6 or 7. We saw one pull into a gas station, and I told my dad, I said, I want to live in that. I want to live in a house car. And he was like, oh my God.
When you were only 6 or 7.
No, I've been like obsessed with just driving around the world and exploring.
So you tell Danny this at what date? Like
this was on the first date.
The very first date.
Very first date.
Yeah, part of the reason like why it was so successful is in those 4 hours we literally laid out our entire life plan. Here's when we're gonna have kids. Here's, this is my journey. This
And
is
if
your
it
journey.
kind of syncs
and
up
if
with
it
yours,
works,
then maybe we can keep hanging out.
yeah.
So you guys talked about at the very beginning of the show, which is so at the very beginning, there was clearly, as you guys both said, a very strong connection. But you also mentioned at the beginning of the show that both of you had just gotten out of...
Like bad breakups.
So how long had you been out of the bad breakup? I asked that because of timing. Because, a lot of people always say it's timing. So sometimes if you're not ready for a relationship, it
Mine
can take
was
a year.
a little less than a year.
I was about the same.
Yeah, almost a year too.
About the same. Yeah, about a year.
Okay, so let me ask you though, do you feel at the point you met though, were you still aching over the other one? Clearly, you guys are married, right? And you're I'm asking your advice for other people. Were you still aching over the other one a little bit?
I was, and I think he can vouch too that we still both have things. You carry things from your past relationships, I think, for a long time sometimes. And there's things that come up even in our marriage, and a pain from a past relationship or a pain from something that's happened before. So I think you always carry those pieces with you. It's just kind of how you put them together in your new relationship. Would you agree?
I didn't think I was. I thought I was over. Like I thought it was like done, boom, done. She did me wrong and broke my trust. And I'm a super trusting type person. And I realized a year after we started dating that all of a sudden some of the things that was some conflicts that we were having was because I had this burden, if you will, that I was carrying this whole time that I didn't realize was the existing hurt from my previous relationship. And it wasn't until we finally sussed it out and had a cuddle cry session where I was like, oh my gosh, I realized what my problem is here. And I literally reached out to my ex and I wrote her a long email and I just said, hey, here's what you did to me. Here's all the problems that you ever did. And I literally walked out from that email and just felt like a huge weight was lifted off my chest. I was like, because I never talked to her or posted. Long story short, she cheated on me and I've never cheated on anybody in my life. So
yeah, well, when you talked about trust, once trust is violated, and thank you for being so open and honest about that. When did you write her the email? Like how many, were you guys years into your relationship?
It was about 1 year.
1 year?
Yeah, 1 year.
A little over.
A little over maybe, yeah.
And I appreciate you guys answering that question because, in fact, I had a dear conversation. I was talking to my dear friend today, and one of the topic that came up was that timing again. But sometimes some people feel that, yes, I feel timing does matter, but sometimes when you meet the right person, that's what matters. Would you guys agree with that? I mean, in your case,
I mean, I wasn't exactly looking for a relationship. I probably, if I had thought about a timeline, I probably would have most likely waited longer to start dating somebody super seriously. But you also, you don't want to push somebody away. Like if you feel such a great connection with them, you're like, this could work. I didn't want to push them off just because of a timeline. Right. I just felt like it was a good fit.
So, and you guys are adorable. I mean, your personalities, everything. I mean, it's so cute. So, 4 years into dating, you proposed.
Yep.
And how did you propose?
At Christmas.
Christmas morning.
Christmas morning. We're like Christmas obsessed. Wow. Okay. So, how did you do it? Were you expecting it first?
I had a feeling because I know that he knows how much I love Christmas, and we had definitely been talking about are we gonna get married? His mom was saying things. Everybody's saying things. He would be like, what kind of rings do you like? There's I knew, but I didn't know the exact time that was gonna happen.
So
it was a humble proposal, but it was really fitting for us, I think. So we were in our RV, and we had our little Charlie Brown Christmas tree. And I put in the back of the Christmas tree the ring and the letter, and it was just the two of us at the time. And I was like, after we did all the Christmas and everything else.
You started to get really weird, and dance, moving weird, just acting really strange. And
Might have been nervous.
Well, obviously, and I'm just like, what in the world is his deal right now? This is odd. And then he started to just get really close to me, uncomfortably close. I'm like, what are you doing? And that's when he got down on one knee.
Oh.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And pop the question: did you start crying?
I don't think I cried.
No.
No, I did not cry. I cried a lot on our wedding day, but I did not cry during the proposal. I was just more like, this is awesome.
And that's so romantic, and happened Christmas morning. So then, Did you stay engaged for a while, or how long was the engagement?
About a year.
Yeah, about a year and a half.
Year and a half.
About a year and a half.
Not super long.
And was the wedding of your dreams?
Oh, we put a lot of labor and love into our wedding. We DIY'd the entire thing. I catered my own wedding. He built the dance floor, he built our arches, we did all our own bouquets of flowers. I mean, we did literally everything.
Built the bar. Went to Goodwill, got all the couches for it. It was all at
we made like
house.
these vintage lounge seating. So we like thrifted all these like vintage looking couches and made sitting areas. We did like a big old backyard kind of like boho wedding, and the ceremony, our backdrop was the RV.
Oh,
we like just pulled up the RV and like got married in front of it.
And where did you guys get married?
Upstate New York.
Upstate New York. Okay, so speaking of the RV, we are going to go to a commercial break because you guys have taken Britty at 6 or 7 years old again, as you told your dad, you wanted to drive around in an RV.
Yeah.
We need to talk about that whole RV story, everything that you guys have done, and because that's a whole story in itself.
Yes.
And introduced maybe 2 little special people in your lives.
Maybe,
All right. Stay with us, everyone. We'll be right back.
About your skin. What bothers you? What are you trying to improve on?
Sammy's getting some self-love thanks to the Dream Team. Those teen years are the perfect time to start.
It's good for giving them that boost of my skin looks great. It helps with the confidence, also helps kind of clean out their skin, their pores, give them that kind of jump start so hopefully they start taking care of their skin before they get into the acne-prone age.
South Tampa Dermatology offers a number of options to keep your teen skin healthy and glowing.
So this is a light stimulating peel that is good for no downtime.
And getting facials with my 14-year-old is not just good for our skin, but a great way to spend time together. I'm Sarina Fazan, a journalist, producer, and podcast host. With a background in television news, I know how much time and talent it takes to produce a broadcast quality production. But no more. Red House Streaming offers a simple, cost-effective method for capturing live action and streaming it in real time to YouTube, Facebook, or any other website. From single camera shoots or multi-camera productions, conventional or virtual sets, and from the state-of-the-art Red House Streaming Studios to remote locations, the professional crew at Red House Streaming, backed by the technology and reputation of CP Communications, allows you to produce more content at a lower cost and with little to no engineering required. That's why my podcast, On the Record with Sarina Fazan, is streamed live from the Red House Streaming Studios each week. Contact Red House Streaming today at 800-762-4254 or online at cpcoms.com to learn more. I'll see you in the studio.
Hey guys, welcome back. Okay, I am so in love with love and in love with this couple, Danny and Brittany. That you guys are so cute. Now, if you guys are joining the show late, I would seriously encourage you to watch the first 15 minutes because these two have proven that Tinder works.
Here we are.
Yeah, here you are, 6 years later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I have to go back to when you were 6 or 7 years old. So
Yeah.
you tell your dad, you see an RV pull into a gas station, you
Yep.
said, and you're like, hey, Daddy, I want to live in one of those things.
I want to live in a house car.
And so you guys have proven that, and I've been talking, I promise I'm going to let you guys talk, but we live in this unprecedented time, right, where people have realized so much more about family and being close. But Britty, as you said, you were cool before this whole RV thing became a huge national trend.
Oh yeah, we've been doing it for 6 years. We're still in the RV now.
In less than 500 feet, Danny, did you say?
Yep. Just shy. So.
Okay.
It's a tiny space,
All right.
but big love. Tiny
Big
space,
love.
big love.
Okay, so tell us how it's. I mean, okay, so less than 500 square feet, and you guys just travel around, or?
So we did for a while, for about 4 years. We did a lot of the U.S., Our 3-year-old has done 42 states, I want to say. So he's a seasoned traveler. Yeah, we would just pull up places and just bump out the slides, and it's called boondocking, you know, which is RVing without any hookups. So no water hookups or electricity hookups. You just have what's running off your generator and your water tanks. And that was kind of our favorite way, at least my favorite way, to travel in the RV, because
she got me longitude, latitudes.
Because you can see the most beautiful places, like, that aren't campgrounds, you know? Like, we pulled up to this one spot at like 3 in the morning. I found these longitude, latitude coordinates that were supposed to be this beautiful RV site that would get you right in front of the Grand Tetons. And he's like cursing me out because he's driving the RV down these like rocky, bad roads, and we have a big Class A diesel pusher.
Yeah.
It's a big rig.
38-foot rig.
And I'm like, just trust me. And
with a 5-day-old.
yeah, our son is 5 days old.
Oh my gosh, the baby. Well, yeah, I have to say, trust is a big, big thing in your guys' relationship for sure.
Yeah,
from the rock climbing day on. All right. So.
So he of course trusts me, and it's, like I said, 3 in the morning when we arrive, so it's dark, and we wake up in the morning right outside our bedroom window, just there's the Grand Tetons, I mean feet away, and it's just like so majestic and so incredible, and that's where we were living, that's where our house was.
Beautiful. Now you have a 3-year-old and a
1-year-old.
A 1-year-old, and I want to go back to the story of giving birth, but before we get to that, Danny, so I had the CEO of your company on, Jim Eddy, on a different series, and what a great guy, because I'm sure many people are watching this thinking, okay, how do you pull this off? You do have a job.
I do.
Right?
Yeah.
So talk about your job, and are you a stay-at-home mom?
I part-time stay-at-home mom, and then I also own a company.
Oh, good for you, girl. Okay, we got to talk about that in a minute. But how do you do it, Danny? How do you do it?
Well, when I came down to Tampa, we actually came here really for the birth of our now 1-year-old, because in the midst of the pandemic, it wasn't the birthing options in upstate New York weren't the best, which is where we were at the time. So she found down in Palm Harbor the birthing center that was one of the top rated on the East Coast. So we came down here specifically for that, and at the time I was doing some consulting work for government contractors, and I happened to rekindle a LinkedIn relationship that I had of a CEO down here, and said, hey, I'm in the area. He told me if I was ever in Tampa to hit him up, and went and I had coffee with him, and 4 hours later he offered me the job as a chief marketing officer and one of the founding partners for Cyan Analytics. I didn't even know Jim Eddy at the time.
Wow.
And so I called her up and I was like, hey, guess what, honey? I just got a whole bunch of consulting hours, and I got offered this amazing opportunity that I just can't pass up. And she was like, what?
And he was like, the only hitch is we got to stop traveling for a little bit. You know, they want me to work in office.
Yeah.
And so we said, okay, well, I guess it's where we're putting down roots, because we had really been nomadic and kind of rootless for 4.5 years. And this was obviously an opportunity that he could not refuse.
Pass up, right?
Yeah, and so here we are.
So, Britty, let me ask you, so what is your company?
So my company is called Pop-Up Picnic Girl, and we are a charcuterie catering company. We do picnics, we do grazed tables, kind of just unique artistic catering.
Now, it hasn't launched yet, right? Or will it launch?
The restaurant, we're opening a brick and mortar establishment that will open March 1st, but we still do catering out of a commissary kitchen.
Okay, when the brick and mortar opens up, I certainly hope I'm invited.
Yes, it'll be a grand opening. We'll let you know.
Do you promise? Because we're on the record right now.
Yes, it'll be so fun. I promise.
The reason why I'm asking you guys this too is because of this amazing RV living. For people that might be interested in it, you guys are proof that this can work and you can financially do it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, when we even started prior to, I retired from the snowboarding community, and then I worked for 6 months for a digital ad firm. And just after that, I started my own company doing consulting work type stuff. And I
actually started up Pop-Up Picnic Girl on the road as well, in a different
so we both
state.
were traveling around, and I would pick up clients wherever we were. And
I would pick up catering gigs, and
that's just how we started the whole thing.
Look at these two. Like, you guys are, again, so adorable. Entrepreneurs on top of it and everything. So, okay, so how, like, financially, though, you're not getting to too many personal details.
Sure.
Because I've had other people on the show as well. it's choosing your lifestyle, though, right?
100%.
Yeah.
And we've chosen to spend our time and money on experiences, and we have a very tiny house, right? There's not many material things that you can fit in there. We can't just go shop and buy a bunch of furniture or appliances. Like, we don't have any space for them. So our time and our money and our resources I feel like they go towards lasting memories, experiences that are like part of the outdoors, or I don't know, just being together, like the more important things.
And you still, because you still live in the RV?
Yeah.
So do you move the RV around, or is the RV in one location right now?
As of right now, we're stationary.
We're in Dunedin, so we're just north of Clearwater.
Now, before we introduce your beautiful 2 babies, you have to share the story, though, with the birth of with Jude, right?
With Jude, yeah.
Yeah.
What story are we talking about?
About 48 hours, with not even a Tylenol.
Yeah, it was a long
go,
labor.
girl. Okay,
it
you
was
go,
a long
girl.
one.
Okay, so share the story, and then you get back on the road, right?
Yeah,
4 days after,
yeah. It was a birthing center, so it was this all natural, midwife kind of experience, and it was a long haul. And I was basically ready to call it quits, go to the hospital. I was so done. It had already been over a day. And then as soon as I'm ready to give up, things start progressing, and we ended up having him. But it was a 48-hour labor. It was a little intense. And then, though, amazingly, we literally drove, I don't know, like 100 miles in the RV,
4 days
like 4 days later.
Oh my
yeah.
gosh.
We hit
Okay,
the
well,
road.
speaking of that, come on, let's bring in the babies. Let's bring in Jude, who's Jude.
There he is.
Hi. He is like so pretty.
You want to sit with Dad or Mom?
Or do you want to sit with me?
You want to sit with her?
Oh my gosh, he's adorable. Okay, so this is little Jude, and he's 3.
Right? Can you say hi?
Hi.
Okay, he's adorable. Okay, and then the baby.
Yep. Zizi.
Vyats.
And what's the baby's name?
Vyatsi.
And grandfather can come in too. So
His name is Vyatsi. We call him
Vyatsi.
Zizi.
And Ken,
Hi,
come on
Zizi.
over, Ken. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I need some baby love. Oh, you don't cry right now. It's okay. And so
He's
Ken,
like, Mom.
Ken is your
This is my dad and my Manny.
your
We call
mammy.
him.
Oh,
Okay. You want Daddy?
I had a feeling.
It's okay.
They are so cute, guys. They're so
No, they won't
adorable.
both want Mom,
They
I
both
bet.
want mommy. Come here. So let me, they are so cute, and we waited because they had been napping.
Yes, they fell asleep like 5 minutes before we got here, of course, right? Were you asleep?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, they're so cute.
Thank you.
So as we start closing out the show, what advice would you give to other couples out there? And let's honestly start. We talked about it a little bit in Studio A, but the first question I want to ask is about online dating.
There's the laughter.
Would you suggest people? Clearly, it worked online for you guys.
It works, and I think trust yourself is the most important part of dating in general. I know you talk a lot about trusting the partner, but also trusting who you are and knowing who you are is a really important part of dating. And so I think that if you're firm in who you are, you're ready to make that next
Yeah,
step
I
with
see.
somebody. And so if it's online, then go for it. Who cares?
That's how I feel too.
You know,
I have to say.
if it works, it works.
If it works, it works. And Danny, what would you say?
Honestly, I think where we really had our biggest success was transparency up front. So we're kind of along the same lines as trust, but being honest, like you said, it was, hey, this is my journey, this is my path. And same thing with her. She was like, this is my journey, this is my path. And more along the lines of less trying to force yourself into, you have to be in a relationship because you have to be in a relationship, but more of like, this is where I'm going in my life. You can either come with me or not. And we both had the same journeys and the same idea and the same vision. And that's something that's been a huge difference. When we do fight, I often say that we're fighting about the same thing, just using different words, as opposed to fighting about 2 different things and going 2 different directions.
And I was going to say, fighting in a small space, too, you just got to resolve it. There's nowhere to go. It's like, where are you going to run from?
So.
And Danny, I have to say, I really appreciate you opening up about that story when you said you emailed your ex.
Yeah.
Would you recommend that too, like for closure, for people that maybe need closure? Would you recommend that?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I think that one of the big things.
I know. That's why you brought him in. So, grandfather Ken might have to come and get them baby.
It's okay.
Oh, when he wants mommy.
Okay, it's okay.
So cute. Oh, but you would recommend that?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I think, knowing at the time, or not knowing at the time and pretending like I didn't have any issues, and then letting those things kind of surface with her and having her to like go through that pain. I mean, if I done it sooner and had closure sooner, then maybe we could have avoided some of our own heartaches based off the pain that I had. But I think I was too manly, if you will, to admit that I had pain from that relationship because I was hurt so bad by my ex. So I think, absolutely getting that closure though is, I
think closure is important.
It was a huge weight off of both of our chests.
Yeah.
So.
Well, you guys are adorable. Your family is adorable. I wish you continued success. And I think that your story, again, is amazing. Once again, guys, love in America and dating apps work. Yay! Great. So please share this this show. You can find me on multiple platforms. In fact, we need to add to this list. But once again, we always so much appreciate your support. Please stay safe out there. Have a wonderful holiday season. And once again, guys, this is why I'm in love with love, because I love people. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for joining us.
Yep, thanks.